Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely beautiful people. A very warm welcome to you. Welcome to the vgh'n Creative Center. And of course, we're all here tonight to celebrate the 12th annual Anti-Tech Spice Word Festival 2022. So this evening, we're going to have a lot of creativity. A lot of this is going to be happening tonight. I welcome each and every one of you. You're all absolutely gorgeous. I see everybody made a special effort tonight. Ooh, very pretty people. A lot of colors. Yes. Okay, just some housekeeping rules. The bathrooms are to your left. Left in the corner there.
Our right. Our right. To your left.
My left, your right. Yes, my left, your right, round there. Bathrooms are there. We would appreciate if you would either put your phones on silent or something that we won't hear when it happens. So, yeah. And we're so happy that you're all here. Let me just give you a little idea of what the Anti-Tech Spice Word Festival is all about. Now, the first annual Spiceword Literary Festival was held in 2010, and it was fully supported by a visionary private sector. It was voted a timely intervention and a resounding success by all Grenadians. Well, as this dream became a reality, it became an unforgettable reality. 3 Grenadian authors in 2010 were recognized and featured at the festival. They were Dr. Merle Collins, Clyde Belfon, and David Omowale Franklin. These authors were selected not only for the brilliance and range of their works, but in particular because their writings predominantly make use of the Grenadian voice, the vernacular, the Creole or patois, that adds the rich flavor to our everyday speech. The festival was successful in realizing most of its fundamental aims: to highlight and showcase the work of Grenadian authors, and to undertake developmental activities that would support and encourage the work of published and emerging authors. In particular, it demonstrated how the vernacular could be employed to enhance our literary works to reflect a true Grenadian experience. At the launch of the festival, one of the gurus of storytelling in the Caribbean region, Grenada's own Anti-Tech, Thelma Ermintrude Knight Phillip, was honored as the High Priestess of Storytelling and presented with an award. 84-year-old Anti-Tech mesmerized the audience with performance of the Zion. Is that the Zion? What's that word? Z-I-E-N. The Zion? Like Compensaya. Compensaya. And Nancy stories, and inspired a new generation of storytellers. Perhaps it would be true to say that the boundless and unflagging enthusiasm of Senator Ali Gill, his drive and single-minded focus has ensured that the Anti-Tech Spice Word Festival, Spice Lit Fest, is now an annual event in Grenada's cultural calendar as we continue to feel the rhythm of the word. Okay, so let's start off tonight's proceedings. Again, thank you all for coming. I'm glad you are here. If you weren't here, I'd be speaking to just chairs, so I'm really happy you're here. And to start off, of course, you're going to hear from numerous creatives tonight. People, poets, people who just are brilliant in the spoken word, storytellers, authors. We're going to launch a book. A lot of things are going to happen tonight. So to start it off, we're going to open it with some poetry from Donella Houston. Donella, the mic is already on, so you can just... Okay. Good night.
So it's been a while since I have actually performed without my book. I think my brains are getting a little old, you know? My brains are getting a little old. I have my lecturers and my editor of my first poetry book in the audience, so I have to do them justice for this piece, right? The very first piece I'm going to do is called Why I Write, and this, I'll just give you a brief background of why I Write was written. Every single time I perform a piece, afterwards people come and ask me, Baby Ras, why did you write that piece? What inspired you? So to eliminate the questions, here is why I write, right? So please do not ask questions after this. Right. I want to read poems that have not been written yet. Make poetry out of stories that have not happened yet. Create words that make even blind people see that this is more than just poetry. I want to create emotion so strong that before you know it, every reader, every listener will become believers of words. Because I'm a writer, a non-conformer, a lyricist who creates, appreciates, and dominates. This isn't a recent discovery. You see, I've been writing poetry from the time I was conceived. Remember those marks on my mother's stomach during her pregnancy? That was me, writing my story. You call it stretch marks because you didn't have the ability yet to see. And on the day I was born, I continued my journey, continued writing my own her story, continued making believers out of my readers and followers out of my listeners. Because my poetry is me. I write poetry even in my sleep. See, it comes to me in the form of dreams, and God writes on the back of my eyelids. So I go to sleep with a pen, because I never stop writing, never stop creating, never stop populating my mind with thoughts. Thoughts that make me who I am. Thoughts that are injected in my DNA, embedded in my anatomy, infecting me, making me contagious. If you cut me, I bleed words, I bleed poetry, I bleed stories of reality. This is my mental cycle. Bleeding words non-stop, going straight to my poetic pad, saturating the minds of every reader and every listener, making them believers of words. Because I am a poet, an activist, an artivist who believes in the freedom of speech, the reality of realities, and the power of words. And this is why I write. I am the voice for the voiceless, the spine for the spineless, and a constant reminder to perpetrators. So telling me that my speech isn't free will only impregnate me with words. And these words will grow inside me like a seed until I give birth to poetry. My poetry, me. And this is why I write. My second piece, I don't know how a lot of people may feel about it, but this piece was written while I was at SGU, and I had to write something for 1983. And, well, that was my history class right there, so I had to do things, right? It's called I Dream of Blood and Tears. I dream of blood and tears. Tears that were sobbed by our ancestors as their freedom was being robbed by people who invaded their lands, destroyed their livelihood, brought them to the Caribbean, and traded them like goods. I dream of blood and tears. The blood that was shed during our revolution, when some things were better left unsaid. The tiny invasion, the crimes that were committed, much more than our emotions could hold, parts of our history omitted from books we've read and stories we've been told. I dream of blood and tears, tears that have molded our behavior when we were denied participation, forced to create our own unique culture to display our feelings and emotions. We crafted our carnival, playing from Juve to Pretty Mass, mimicking what we saw through our portrayals of the devil-like images of the jab jab. I dream of blood and tears, that the woman before me shed, when they were denied all their rights and contributions to society were stalled. They found themselves in a serious plight. These women were given no respect at all. They were treated like baby-making machines, never even considered as human beings or even thought of as ladies. I dream of blood and tears that make us strive for opportunities to try to attain higher education, whether here at home or overseas, to better ourselves and improve our nation. Days of denial are long gone. The tables have been turned. Yes, a new era has begun. I dream of blood and tears that will only make us stronger than we were at the start. For now, we no longer carry that burden in our hearts. Forgiveness shall reign, and we will overcome our fears. But we must never forget the pain that brought us to blood and tears. And my very last piece is called I Want to Love. I've never, ever, ever, ever in life performed this or recited it in front of anybody. So please do not. It's in my book, but I always wanted to, but So please forgive me if I mess it up. But then again, you wouldn't know, right? It's called I Want to Love. I want a love so real, so pure, so true. I'm not talking about that puppy love kind of love, that you give me butterflies in my stomach kind of love. I'm talking about that strong kind of love, so strong that you give me eagles in my stomach kind of love, sending me soaring just by the way you smile at me kind of love, that you don't even have to touch me to get me wet kind of love, that intoxicate me with your kiss kind of love, make me high off your cocaine like lips kind of love. We're so intertwined with each other kind of love that we can't tell where we begin or end kind of love. The kind of love that distance cannot separate kind of love, because we are mentally and spiritually connected kind of love. The kind of love that even breathing brings you to mind kind of love and makes me smile kind of love. A love that even in your absence, I feel your presence kind of love. I want a love so real, so pure, so true, that in my dictionary, the definition of love is a picture of you. Thank you.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. I only have one question for Donella. Where do you write? Why do you write? Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so much. Let's just appreciate her. That was brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, we're moving along. We're going to have Donella Watson-Henry, a representative from the Grenada Cultural Foundation, who will just give us some remarks. Donella?
Good night, everybody. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Shoma Wells. Sorry. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Shoma Wells, our former CEO, Daisy Hazard, members of the Grenadian Published Authors, Inc., Aunty Anne, Uncle Yu. I would like to welcome you all here tonight. I stand before you representing the Grenada Cultural Foundation at this, our annual Anti-Tech 12th Anti-Tech Spiceword Festival. This festival was born out of hard work of our then Senator Ali Gill and Daisy Hazard, who has fought tirelessly to ensure that the festival remains on the Foundation's calendar of activities. The festival over the years has been successful in realizing most of its fundamental aims, that is, and to undertake the developmental activities that will support and encourage the works of published and emerging authors in Grenada. On Thursday, we successfully hosted our educational component of the festival by way of a panel discussion. And on Friday, our highly anticipated bonfire, storytelling, and ring games night was held at the Malmont Big Yard. And tonight, we are at the end of this year's festival with our newly added book launch, poetry, and the spoken word. Before I leave you, after my brief remarks, I would like to remind us, you can't skip a chapter. You can't skip chapters. That is not how life works. You have to read every line, meet every character. You won't enjoy it all. Hell, some chapters will make you cry for weeks. You would read things you wish you didn't have to read. You will have moments when you don't want to put the book down. But you have to keep going. Stories keep the world revolving. Live yours. Don't miss out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donella. And I hear what you're saying about stories. I really needed to hear this because we are going to have a storytelling evening soon, me and Urias. And I have the biggest anxiety. I don't even think I sleep well because I'm saying to you, I don't know why I said yes to this because I think I'm going to die before. We are doing true stories and Nancy stories. And why didn't I get Nancy stories? Because that is so easy to do. I got true stories. So, as Donella said, girl, I will just do it. I will continue on. Thanks ever so much. So, we are continuing, and we are going to have some remarks, of course, by representative of the Grenadian published authors, who's also happened to be the director, Mr. David Ambrose.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy to see everybody this evening. Let me welcome all of you on behalf of Grenadian published authors. Who or what is Grenadian published authors? Or should I say Grenadian Published Authors, Inc. We are a non-profit organization incorporated just last month. But we've been around for a few years, doing activities like pop-up book sales, reading recitals, and discussions of literary issues. The chair mentioned that I am the director. I'm just actually a director because the directors are Ronald Antwine, Roger Bayer, and Wendy Crawford Daniel, and myself. So there are four of us who are directors. There are also many authors in Grenada and abroad who are affiliated with GPA. What do we do? As an organization, we have given ourselves the mandate of supporting Grenadian authors, coordinating and hosting book fairs, visiting schools to encourage reading and writing among students, and coordinating training and or workshops on writing and publishing. However, we are not experts, but as published authors, we feel we can share our experiences since we've been through some of the processes of writing and publishing to varying degrees. Look out for us in the future because we plan to hold an official launch within the coming months. In 2019, authors of GPA collaborated with the Grenada Cultural Foundation during that year's Spiceword Reading Festival to visit schools and hold reading events. And that was the start of a fruitful relationship between the two organizations. This year, we are again witnessing collaboration between the GCF and the GPA. A few authors participated in a panel discussion on Thursday evening. Earlier that day, some authors visited a few primary schools, and from the feedback I got, the students of those schools really enjoyed the interactive reading activities. I would like to thank the Grenada Cultural Foundation for continuing to foster the partnership between the groups, and we look forward to more collaborations in the years to come. This evening we are pleased to put on show some young Grenadian poets who will wow you with their expressions of spoken word. And I see we've already started being wowed. I am confident that you'll be amazed or continue to be amazed by what you will witness on stage. We are also pleased to welcome N.C. Marks from St. Vincent, who will present a new book of poetry, Children of the Ash. I'll be back a bit later in the program to talk specifically about Natasha and her debut poetry book. Never before has Grenada had so many published authors. I've compiled a list of names of Grenadians who have published, alive or deceased, at home or in the diaspora, across the entire Tri-Island state. The GPA doesn't know all Grenadians all over the world who have published, but so far, we have a list of 108 names, and many of us have published more than one book. We hope to see some of these books used by Grenadian schools in the near future as part of the regular curriculum. You can check out the display table at the back for some of the many Grenadian titles. They're not on sale today, but we can take orders that we can fulfill later. So I invite you to sit back, enjoy the presentations. Thank you. I'll see you in a bit.
Thank you, Mr. Ambrose. We are going to continue quickly, and my dear friend is up next. Yes, Daisy Hazard, my lovely friend, and she's an original founder of the festival. She is representing the Anti-Tech Spiceword Festival.
Good evening, everyone. And I stand on whatever protocol has already been established. And I'm really excited to be here this evening. You can tell by my beautiful skirt. I pulled my colors out for this occasion. It is a pleasure, a wonderful, wonderful pleasure, Aunty Sharma, to have been invited by the Grenada Cultural Foundation to make some brief remarks on this occasion of the 12th celebration of the annual Anti-Tech Spiceword Festival. I am proud to have been one of those persons who way back in 2010 helped to conceptualize and actually bring this thing to birth. I was off on vacation and I received a call from Senator Ali Gill, and he said to me, Daisy, there is something that we are trying to do. I have a team of persons, but I need something, and that something that I need is you. And I said, I'm off island. What is it? He said, when are you getting back? And I told him I'd be back in a week. And he said to me, when you get back, there is a meeting I would like you to attend on Saturday. And so I attended a meeting on the Saturday, and I see my good friend, Dr. Antonia McDonald, in the audience. And she was one of those persons who were there as the original founders of the Spiceword Festival. So I want to acknowledge her presence and acknowledge as well the role that she played. I don't know if I haven't seen anyone else here. And what we had was this beautiful concept of Grenada's Spiceword Festival. And as soon as I heard about it, and I'm getting goosebumps speaking, I said, yes, this is for me. And I'm just what you need. And I know exactly what you need. I wasn't shy about it at all. And so we looked at all the ideas that were on paper, and I said, this is how I think we can do some of that. So some of it came to birth. So if you noticed, I walked up here with this big tattered Bible. This is my Holy Bible of the first and the second Spiceword Festival. All of my thoughts, all of our discussions, all of our deliberations, it's in here. And I've had this right next to my bedside all of these years because it has meant this much to me. It is tattered, just like our favorite Bibles, and it tells you about the persons who were the first authors who were celebrated and the first authors who participated. And I remember well that while the idea was celebrated, it was also met with resistance. I actually wrote a poem about it. I was trying to find it and couldn't. But the word on the street was, whoever hear about reading and literacy and literature being part of culture? Culture is food. Culture is carnival. Culture is chutney jumping on a truck these days. Culture is 2 days of jump up. Culture is steel band. Culture is drums. Culture is regatta. But whoever hear about reading and books being part of culture? And I'm happy that tonight we are here 12 years later celebrating the fact that our culture and our writings and our collective consciousness as Grenadian people forms a part of our culture. And we are proud to say so to Grenada and to the region. Because if we do not document our stories, and if we do not tell our own tales, and if we do not tell of our pain and of our sorrows and of our joys in our own language, in our own way, who will? And I remember well, when the first Spiceword Festival was held, there was no accident that it was October. That it started just around the 18th, 19th. The first year was 18 to 23. And every year it's around those dates. And it's a painful kind of consciousness because there is a period of our history that is not resolved. But the founders and the persons who conceptualized this festival also thought that it was important that at this time of the year, we must document and we must talk and we must record our experiences of October 19th, 1983 to 25 and beyond. Tonight, I remember Camus McBarnett. I met him for the first time in person at the first Spiceword Festival. And I wrote a poem about him because when I first saw him, I didn't think he was human. Because when the revolution, when October 19th happened, I was 11. And he was one of the incarcerated 17. And I remember the first day I had to interview him, I thought about it all night. And I sat on the platform with him and I was looking at him. And I reached out and I touched him. Because he was human. And he was a person. And he was a Grenadian. And I came to love him and he came to love me. And all of that is a part of our experiences. Today he's no longer with us. God rest his soul. I remember Stephen Friday, who made the journey from England with his father, who was an author. Stephen is dead today as well. But he was one of those first persons who traveled from the diaspora and came home to show this belief in our Spiceword Festival, our literary festival. I look around here tonight, and the dreams and the vision of the festival has been realized. And it's wonderful, because in Grenada sometimes we start things, but we're not so good at implementation. And outside of that, we're not very good at keeping on. But we have kept on with this festival, Cultural Foundation. In the second year of the festival, somebody said to me, there is money from UNESCO. So I wrote a project, and UNESCO gave us some money. But we needed a home for the money, because UNESCO would not just give its money to government to spend. So when I wrote that project, I put it under the Cultural Foundation. And the following year, I also wrote a project and put it under the Cultural Foundation. And I believe that that is part of the reason why our Word Festival is still alive today, because the Cultural Foundation has embraced it and given it a home. And I want to thank the GCF and Sister Sherman and Donella and everyone else. And so what I would have liked to have seen here tonight is more of our young people, more of our children. Our charming host saw the word Zaire and didn't recognize it. But most of us would see the word Zaire and don't recognize it because we say it and we hear it and we grew up on it, but we've never written it. We've never taken pen and paper and wrote the word Z-I-E-N, Zaire. We don't know it. And even sometimes when we hear our vernacular and we speak our vernacular, we don't even understand why we are speaking our vernacular or that we are even doing it. In June, we saw the fracas in the society when somebody had the nerve to say, where did it? And there was a big debate, a very conscious debate about, is it acceptable to say, where did it day? And what does it really mean if they say, where did it day? So I'm proud that all of us was there and did day and is here tonight. But we need to bring more of our people and more of our young people. We don't just want them going to the bonfire or to the word on the street. And we want them to write as well. The dreams of the festival is bigger than inside of here. And while we have carried the festival, we must all of us, we're doing our part. But we really have to get Grenada to understand. Write a word every day. Write a line every day. Publish it somewhere. And nowadays it's not so hard to publish. And we have Grenada's Published Authors Inc., who's been doing a fantastic job. So I just want to say, well done, hats off, wonderful everybody. This is my Holy Bible, the Anti-Tech Spiceword Festival.
Thank you, Daisy. The dream is becoming an absolutely fantastic reality for sure. We are going to move on to the next section of this evening, where we'll be hearing some poetry, the spoken word, where all the creatives will be coming on board. Oh, okay, Alistair. You know you're up next. You got props. All right. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, up next we'll be having Mr. Alistair Amada doing some poetry for us. You do your thing, son.
One, ha, ha. The piece is entitled My Mother. 1, 2, ha. My mother, look at what they are doing to your house, my mother. They have no heart. 50 years ago, my big brother liberated us from colonial chains and control. 50 years later, we cannot show a proper form of identity. An independent institution full of dependent minds that are feeble, ignorant, irrational, and xenophobic to change. Instead of rebuilding and repairing the broken walls and structure, we sit, we eat, we drink, we smoke, we fat, and we burn away in we comfort zones as our home is ruined by our siblings. Yes, those that we choose to lead and build our home, my mother, they lead with an ulterior motive and a personal agenda, building their name and status while satisfying their selfish egos. As they rise, many fall into desolation and hysteria, languishing into hysteria as poverty becomes our withered pillar. Illiteracy becomes our flimsy flooring. Unemployment becomes our holy galvanized as poverty becomes our shady shelter. What was once a gem has been ransacked into a dilapidated derelict. My mother, They annually announce prolific promises, but no practical and realistic approach of keeping those promises. My brothers and sisters, it is time to wake up and rise like a phoenix out of the ashes. Let us ignite the fire of change amongst us as we breathe in a new breath and exhale the gases of indolence and worthlessness as we march on to our path of transformation. I thank you.
Yes? No, I was just telling you. So sometimes Alistair comes to the right. Is this any better? Oh, I can hear me now. All right. Poetry and reading. Where's Amy? Hi, Amy. What is Amy going to use?
My voice, I guess, as loud as I can.
Hold on.
Testing. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. All right. My name is Amy Jones, and I will be doing a poem from my book, A to Z Odyssey, and I will be reading a section from my novel, Chains That Bind. The poem I'm going to do is entitled Stand Up Straight. Stand up straight. Push your shoulders back, your head elevate. You're more than ordinary. Your melanin is fine, like rubies. Stand up straight. Push your shoulders back, your mind meditate. Change your thought patterns. Redefine your goals. What you feed your mind gives spiritual nutrients to your soul. Stand up straight. Push your shoulders back. Your heart, recreate. Break the ice. Take the coal out of your ticker. Let this redefined version of you paint the world another picture. Stand up straight. Push your shoulders back and put that finger down. Angry black woman doesn't look good on you. Do you even have a clue that there's a queen caged on the inside of you? Your exterior is a reflection of your interior. And what you portray is sort of like bad foreplay. Stand up straight. Push your shoulders back and close your legs. Your chambers for wandering body parts is no parking lot. Your birth canal for restless fingers is no resting spot. Your body is a flower, like the beauty of a forget-me-not. Not the sight of a game of chance, hoping that he really will forget me not. This spiritual covenant you sign in secret is sacred. Stop and think about it. Do you see where the Creator put the outer coats, inner coats, and holies of holies he created? Stand up straight. Push your shoulder back and plant your feet. Solid enough to leave marks like footprints for the world to see. The woman you were meant to be. Be bold, be unmoved, be unshaken. Let your ancestors smile at the truth you've awoken. Stand up straight. Push your shoulders back and let them see that this, your temple, is certified royalty. Thank you. Right, so before I leave, I will be reading the prologue from my novel, Chains That Bind. I love the fact that Miss Daisy mentioned our vernacular because this book is written in our language for our people. James, Janice called for the second time. James, you there? Yeah, I there. James finally responded. Well, how you get quiet so, baby? Janice questioned. The concern could be heard in her voice over the telephone. You know, I just tired, girl, James lied. You sure? She asked, even more concerned. You know, if something happened, if something bothering you, you could tell me, eh? Yes, baby, I know. You don't have to worry. James knew he was wrong for keeping this from his wife, but somehow he felt like he had to. Every time he tried to be honest, it was like a thread was pulled to sew his lips shut. James knew something was wrong, but the more he tried, the worse he felt. Well, if you say everything okay, I'll go in and put them girls to sleep, Janice responded. It's minutes to 8, and you know how Cherry had hard already. I love you here. Yes, I love you too, baby. Kiss them for me, eh? Yes, I'll go do that. But how long again? Janice asked, as she did to her husband ever since he left. She knew the duration he was scheduled to be in San Souci, but somehow hearing his words assured her that he would return and return soon. Janice, is only a week ago, you know. Tomorrow, Saturday only making 2 weeks. James responded, but Janice sighed. It was a deep, melancholic sigh that broke his heart every time. He took the opportunity to make her feel secure in the fact that one way or another, she would see him soon. Click. Before he could respond, the phone was disconnected. Janice, I had to go. James sighed. He turned around to see the long, white, flowing dress hovering over his window. It was happening again, and he couldn't help it but feel that pull towards her. As she hovered away, he trembled. Fear gripped him in a way that nothing else had ever done before. He wanted to tell Janice how he felt and what he was experiencing, but it was almost as if he just couldn't. No matter how hard he tried, the words could never escape his lips. He thought to himself that even if Janice thought it was another woman, suggested that, she would be wrong because she knew James loved her more than he had loved anyone else. As his thoughts raced and his fears gradually subsided, James drifted off to sleep. At 3 a.m., James was awoken to the feeling of a strange presence in his room. It was a similar feeling he had earlier while on the phone with his wife.
He rose off the bed, eyes bright and blazing. He was in a trance again. He walked towards the window, crawled through the open space and planted his feet on the wet grass. It was cold, but he didn't feel it. His eyes were glued on the beautiful young woman adorned in a long white dress. It was night, but the young woman sported a big straw hat that covered the majority of her face. He walked towards the bushes, right ahead of the San Souci Great River, and was lost behind the trees that overlooked the flowing water. As the woman stripped her clothes and entered the cold water, James did the same thing. And as it happened in times past, at the break of dawn, James would wake up at the mouth of the river, lost and confused. He would have to search for his clothes and make his way back to the house. He felt embarrassed, confused, violated. What had happened? Why couldn't he remember? And worse yet, why wasn't Papa God listening to his prayers to stop this woman from taking advantage of him? He had planned that morning to leave the island, as his last working day was the day before. One way or the other, he was getting out of that place and never returning. Thank you.
Thank you. I need to introduce the next person, so help me stand up properly. Stand up.
Yeah,
What to do again? Well, what to do? My shoulders back?
Position. Hold your head up. There you go. You have it.
I have it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next poet, Mr. Dante Wilkes.
Good evening. Y'all hear me, right? Y'all can hear me properly? Oh,
No,
Sorry.
there's a mic there.
Hello?
Jesus, who's your mother, boy?
Well,
Lord,
Sorry.
have mercy. Come here, child.
apologize.
Don't apologize. It's okay.
See, no matter how old you get, you'll need your parents, so, yeah. This first piece I'm gonna speak basically, is called Like Parent, Unlike Child. And I wrote it, yeah. It's not in any way related to my personal parent here at all. It's just general parents and children. So it's basically about how often you would hear a lot of older parents talk about corporal punishment and physically beating children to quote-unquote discipline them. Like, that's the only way the child will learn.
You have 100 pieces, you're going to choose that one?
Well, the second one will just be a palate cleanse, so you won't be left with the idea that my mother's a terrible parent, because she's like the best woman you could ask for as your parent. So, yeah, this piece does not at all reflect on my parent. But yes. There is one thing I always witness but never understand. How parents, instead of thinking of solutions, just want to reprimand. I'm not saying every parent is part of smothering a child's expression. It's just, more often than not, I see cries for help met with aggression. They may defend hitting the child, saying they were causing a public scene. But it never crossed that parent's mind what the child's outburst could mean. Children, most of the time, are not going out of their way to embarrass you, and society would be better if you saw the consequences of what you do, as every action has a consequence, even those of a caregiver. But lots of people are unaware of the true hurt they can deliver. Building children so used to making the sounds of silence, it is no wonder that they grow into adults who don't report violence. That 5-year-old offspring could just want their parents' attention, but when that translates into anger, it provides some apprehension. The ones that are supposed to care for them have no concern. And this is a prime example of being able to only teach what you learn. The parents themselves grew up hearing, "Spare the rod, spoil the child," feeling the pain of being beaten whenever their parent got riled. Now a parent, they refuse to address their own trauma, believing they are okay. With their trauma unaddressed, the cycle of pain and abuse comes to stay. Always hearing, I got licks and I turned out fine. But if that was the case, you would know when to draw the line. Settling differences in ways both of you understand, with an awareness that not every argument needs the raising of your hand. With that said, the raising of your voice is not any better. Making your child feel like punishment is a one-size-fits-all sweater, one that parents wear to combat the frigid parts of their existence, handed down to their children to show the futility in their resistance. It is a bit oversized now, but they will grow in the coming years. Some will abandon the sweater early, while others will get lost in their fears. It is bad that the treatment of our world's children is in this state, as the truth is, they are the key to any future that we wish to create. If we have any desire to make positive changes that last, we must stop holding on to the sins of our over-disciplinary past. Finally, the most important thing for making abuse culture go away is to stand up and change the behaviors of the present day. Thank you. So it was just because a lot of people, you'll see them in the supermarket and their child will be crying for something that is very relevant, and instead of, going to the child and asking what's wrong, it's like, I'll give you something to cry about. And they would lash their child in the supermarket, even though they're already crying, and they start bawling more, and it's like, you could have just do it in a better way. But, yeah. This is my second and last piece. It's called What Makes a Grenadian Revolutionary. I wrote this around this time, like a good 2-3 years ago, because of, I guess, the invasion thing. I personally think it's an invasion, but to each their own. The holiday we have on Tuesday coming, where we quote-unquote give thanks for the great rescue of our country. But, let's not get too political here. So I will just say the piece and get on the stage. But, yes. What does revolution look like through your eyes? Would you call the people beside you right now enemies or allies? Look around you and tell me what type of people you see. Will they notice something wrong and have the courage to disagree? Could you count on them to march with boots on the ground, forward ever to fight an imperialistic sound? Personally, I'm not completely sure that I would know, because it is said that people will always reap what they sow. Yet the seeds of our powerful and strong nation were sown, but they reaped a leader who treated government as their own personal throne. Bias and intimidation were easy tactics to enforce silence, and if those did not work, it was not a far stretch to use violence. People hold many different perspectives to this revolution story, attributing some people to its downfall and others to its glory. The melting pot of opinions shrouds the truth in an air of mystery, as we choke on how many significant parts are left unclear in our history. As if history is told by the victors, who knows what was truly right? So that shared experience should not cause us to divide, but to unite. Revolutions and revolutionaries do not materialize out of thin air. They are the response to conditions that a people cannot bear. Environments weaved with the heartbeat of enough is enough, becoming the flame that empowers them to call their oppressors bluff. And if you view education and medicine as a human right, you too would understand part of the reason they stood and fought. So here we are, years after that revolutionary point in time, where some see the events as justice while others see unforgivable crime. Whether you think we shouldn't have had a revolution in the first place, or that the fact we haven't had another one by now is a disgrace, the people of this beautiful nation are all products of that revolution. So let us march forward ever, away from conflict, and focus on solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dante. Master Dante, your mama must be mighty proud. Okay, our next poet is going to be Renata Clark Gray.
Everyone, my name is Renata Clark Gray. I'm from Brazil by birth, Renata by heart. I'm here 10 years and it was here when I became a poet. And today I'm going to read one of my poetry from my book, Sunset in Poetry, and called The Healer. I can't heal your scar of your body, but I can heal the wounds of your soul. I can't heal your past emotions, but I can heal your present. Let me be your helper, your healer. Some people only give you what they want to receive or what they got with them. I will give you what I am, love. Love in the most pure form. I am the healer you deserve. I am the healer you need. I am the healer. I am love. My second piece, thank you. I just did last week, and for my new project, they call Woburn Bay. Friendly people where I felt belong. All the neighbors become family. It's a bay with a different smell. Boats, dinghies, water, people, neighborhood, brotherhood. Everyone's know everyone. If you don't know Taffies, Nimrods, Whisper Cove, oh boy, you really are a foreigner. I just felt I am one of the locals. I'm in Grenada by heart, Woburn Bay. It's where the happy hours become your special life, a social life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I know Taffies, Nimrods, Whisper Cove. Whisper Cove is dodgy to come out of though. When you are going around coming out, oh, this nightmare. Thank you. And finally, who do we have? Camille John. Camille's amazing. Sometimes I don't see her, but I hear her and I know immediately it's her. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. All right. Can we hear me? Yes? You not hearing me? Oh. All right. So the first poem that I'm going to read is from my book, Between the Rhymes. It is called Sanitary Napkin. Excuse me, please, miss. You happen to have a sanitary napkin that I could possibly borrow? I need to stem my flow. I'm flowing. My words are bleeding out of me like uterus lining monthly. But apparently it's not messy enough. So when my words stay in my mouth, no one stops and stares or stops to hear what I'm talking about. So let me just borrow a pad now, please. I know, I'm dressed so well, I did my hair only because I knew I was coming here. And yes, I should have been more aware of my cycle. But I was having visions of recycled napkins like the cloth diapers, and so this drip that dropped down came in like a flood. And I didn't say anything about it. That topic is on the taboo list. Instead, I ran to the supermarket. Tap, tap, skirt still dry, nothing running down my thighs, no reason to fret. Hey, you find a pad yet? Stepped into the aisle, flashing that stupid smile. You know the one that is a mile long? The one you just put on when you're going and commit a crime? Sublime. And I walked my way up to the shelf, about to handle my health, dip down for the feminine products, and let me just see. The names of these things are there to mock us. Who you does know does be carefree during their monthlies. We can't afford to stay free because we always dripping. And they want to cover us in Cortex. It's better you have sex. Who said that? I digress. Only because I under duress. Snatch up my 3-pack of napkins of the sanitary variety and some liners to ensure, to cushion my sanity. Basket swinging, about to win, tap tap, skirt still dry. And nobody gonna lend me the pad? Nah, boy. So anyway, I reached the cashier. wished her a pleasant good afternoon, had my personal queen show. Little did I know that they were setting up an interview question. Kasia, smiling pleasantly, having done her job efficiently, looks over and says to me, $105.65. And I promptly lose my mind. I took off my glasses because I wasn't sure I heard her right. Tap, tap, my skirt still dry, but maybe I needed to test my eyes. I swallowed my tongue, I swiped a card, and then stared at the bill head hard. Saw some numbers. Y'all know me and maths. But the thing that shocked me most was the VAT. That 15% just added a little more agony. And it still looked like none of y'all have a pad to lend me. It's tough in these streets. See, as women, we pay $105 for our one and done. After one use, we discard unless y'all know about any reusable pads. So I get to wondering, because spending $105 on feminine products will make anyone a philosopher. As women, we bleed every month. We pay to bleed in peace. Because if one day perchance we tap tap and the skirt not dry and it's not juice, all hell go break loose. I want to know what they expect us to do. They're not going to give us the days off, or they wouldn't give us leave, but the things we need so expensive. And when we talk about it, they get so defensive. Like the topic is so offensive. When in truth and in fact, the pads in the pack are the only thing keeping the office afloat, because we do get bloated. And we're the only ones keeping the office together. Let's face it, every Henry needs a Heather. We are strong beings, going to work carried by wings, literally, working through acne and cramps and headaches to be paid a lesser minimum wage? I think not. I believe that has earned us a top spot and the right to ensure that our skirt has no spots. Tap, tap, skirt still dry. Hold your head high when you pay your 105 because we are women and we are strong. And this poem was about 4 pages long. Told y'all my words were bleeding out of me, and all you still don't lend me a pad. All you bad. Thank you. The second one is entitled Whitewash It. I feel it's a little self-explanatory, but any clarity will be given whilst I read. Education doesn't always mean you have knowledge. It just means that you have mastered the art of regurgitating altered facts, shaped through the lens of the colonizers to make them look better. Countries have never been discovered. They were already inhabited by tribes, hunters and gatherers, Arawaks and Caribs, reduced only to being known as natives, who saw their land stolen, lives taken if they did not bow. And now they only occupy at most a couple glossy pages in a textbook, more concerned about how the discoverer looked. Imagine, books claim that the Caribbean's discovery was made by men on voyages who couldn't read the seas, had their crew dying from scurvy, and were so confused they called it the West Indies. We were, in effect, named after a mistake made by people who knew little else than how to take. But whitewash it, make it look clean. And when the ancestors of the land had been eradicated, they found need to grab others for cheap labor, to pander, to feed their egos dinner. Weak men who needed to feel superior, knowing nothing about spices and seasonings and how to be clean. Imagine being ruled by people who had no clue about simple hygiene. Their minds only occupied with carting the strongest bodies coated in melanin like cattle, shackled, shattered, spirited away to build their kingdom. They tried to break their wills, crush their customs, stifle their native tongue with whips and chains and insults, hanging shame around a mother's neck while keeping the children fertilized by reckless men who who couldn't help but be mesmerized by melanin, but whitewash it. These facts are glorified by textbooks that skirt the issue by eschewing to paint the picture of those undeniable horrors, a terrible misuse of colors, to form an image so grotesque that people would protest. So whitewash it. Propaganda of the suavest order. And even after they were removed like cancer, they kept their eyes open, looking, painting themselves as savior, needed to set balance in places that sway a little too far from their agenda. So when a revolution that had nothing to do with them threatened to upset their system, they had to step in. Operation Urgent Fury, codenamed aptly because they were indeed angry. But to listen to them tell the story, they'd have us believe they rescued Grenada from savages when they were the ones who were lawless. But whitewash it, make it look clean, even if the people who win still having debates on whether or not it's necessary to wash their legs. Even now, around the world, wars have been waged because they've gotten angry about things that were never their business, not only across seas but domestically, wherever they are located. One could wonder if their lack of melanin makes rage their only emotion that they could muster, because present-day history remains a sordid reflection of the mess that we did see. Instead of stealing land, they've become subtle, stealing ideas and inventions, hiding behind laws they've created to get rich on the backs of others' creations, making it hard for others to access knowledge through tainted education. And when, despite all of the roadblocks, obstacles, and drawbacks, one is strong enough to ascend the ranks, almost all the knowledge found at the top really isn't worth shit, because they whitewash it. Thank you.
Woo! Camille, girl, I really wish I had a pad to lend you, Honestly, I would have. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, part of the agenda tonight is going to be a book launch. And Suja Reef was supposed to be here. But unfortunately, due to Caribbean travel issues, he says, won't be able to make it. But of course, he sent an apology, which I'm going to read to you. The book launch, right. Aw, this is not nice. Ooh, sorry. Anyway, warm greetings, dear friends. And because of the difficulty in Caribbean travels in these times, made it impossible for me to join you at the 12th Anti-Tech Spiceword Reading Festival. Thank you for hosting NC Marks, the book party for children of the Ash. Greetings to our hardworking and brave authors. David, Wendy, and your team, NC Marks. MC Marks' poetry of this new collection has already been called a bestseller because you are now receiving the second printing. The collection was first launched at the St. Martin Book Fair, then moved to the country that gave it birth, that gave it form, and gave it fire, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Novelist, award-winning poet, geography teacher, NC Marks is writing from the issue of soufre, as if the very ash is the ancient ink with which to tell the story of the people of this horrific event, which dumped ash on you, even you here in Grenada. We are thankful that NC Marks decided to publish her debut poetry volume with our indie press in St. Martin. We are happy to celebrate with all of you, the people of Grenada, for the launch of Children of the Ash. Hopefully, Caribbean travels will improve by next year, and I will be able to join you at the next literary festival. Anyhow, no, he didn't say that was me. Congratulations. One love from Suja Reef, St. Martin Book Fair Director. So Suja couldn't make it. What we're going to have now, of course, is a review of the book Children of the Ash by none other than Mr. David Ambrose.
Children of the Ash. Children of the Ash. Actually, I first met Natasha and Suja right here when they came in 2019 when Karen Steele launched her book right at this location. Later that year, Wendy and I were invited to the St. Martin Book Fair, and Natasha was there again to launch her book, Pretty in Pink, which was a hit as well. So, Plastered in Pink, not Pretty in Pink. Right again, Plastered in Pretty. Pink was a big part of the story. So, Children of the Ash. This is a book of 63 short poetry pieces that I'm sure Grenadians will enjoy. Natasha uses the recent eruption of the Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent as the backdrop for creating the pieces. She does a masterful job of using the eruption and its after effects to bring up many issues of Vinci society, and I dare say Caribbean society, that go way beyond the effects of natural disasters. Think of teenage pregnancy, perhaps caused by sexual abuse. Think of sexual abuse and rape culture. Think of government/state inefficiencies. Think of the recent discussions about the decriminalization of weed. Think of indecision by people affected by natural disasters, to move or not to move. Think of COVID-19 and related vaccination issues, and many other issues we've been dealing with as a Caribbean people over the years. You will find a poem in this book that touches on all of them. Directly related to Soufrière, I never knew there were so many ways to describe an eruption. We're talking about pieces like when, ? Boom, sky curtains, all is ashen, and striptease. Get readers thinking about what connotations may be hidden behind the descriptions of a volcanic eruption. A couple of my favorite poems are Me Nah Move, I hope we hear that one tonight, and Minister of Everything. Do we have a Minister of Everything in Grenada? Ladies and gentlemen, you will enjoy the poetry in this best-selling book. Natasha's use of rich, colorful language or vivid descriptions that allow the reader to see, hear, and smell the setting of the poems. And the rhythms she uses will have you putting music and melody to the lyrics, and you will soon be singing the pieces. You'll be able to relate to most, if not all of the pieces, not just because Grenada shared in some of the ash from the volcano, but more so because we had similar experiences in the wake of Hurricane Ivan in 2004. I highly recommend this well-written book, Children of the Ash. So, congratulations, Natasha, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Natasha presents Children of the Ash.
Good evening, everyone. So, in 2021, La Soufrière erupted, and the entire island was covered in ash. I'm going to begin with when. Subterranean serpent awoke in the season of Christmas, sent smoke signals, sulfuric fumes, seismic waves to the surface, stern warnings of slumber's escape, slithered slowly to the summit, pressurized Burt Canal, deep and dark, viscous, bloody migration for months. Hideous head appeared in the season of Jesus Christ's ascension to heaven yet again. Sky became stage for serpents' catastrophic explosions of greetings from the underworld. Safe. No safe zone. No zone safe. Borderless wrath. Venting bitch empties her stony guts skywards. Crossing seas. Island hopping. Raining stones. Snowing ash. Anyway, everywhere. Me nah move from red zone. Me nah move. Move forward. At the same sky over all our head. For me move, the sky go have to drop down and no more earth na day. Run to town? For what? Who can take care of me animals them? Me experience suffer last time. Me nah be move. Move for what? Me have a dead one of these days. If I suffer for kill me, well, what me gonna do? When you're dead, you're dead. All me know is, me nah move. Move for what? This one is not really about the eruption. The neighbors are talking. Met the man of my dreams, my Mr. Gray, who showered me with gifts of an infinite array. BMW car, designer clothes on display. Let the neighbors talk. Wasn't my birthday or Valentine's Day. He bought me champagne and a lovely bouquet. Then he said cruel things, but I knew he was sorry because the very next day, I got a big pile of money. Let the neighbors talk. One night, he started speaking French. I said, I don't like that funny accent. He threw me against the wall and slapped my face. My black and blue eyes was such a disgrace. So I wore dark sunglasses because the neighbors will talk. A few weeks later, he beat me up, punched, kicked, and battered my body. I wanted to scream, but hell no. I'm not that silly. Never, ever will I let them hear me because the neighbors will talk. He apologized profusely, seemed really sorry, and sent me to London to visit my mommy. But the night I returned, we had a fight. I wet myself when he pulled out a knife. The cuts and bruises I could not expose, so I covered them wearing long sleeve clothes because the neighbors will talk. I had to leave him. I had to go. But how will I do it? Just didn't know. You see, the lifestyle is great. So I suffered in silence because the neighbors will talk. When I found the strength to tell him, I done. He looked at me and laughed like a clown. I asked him to leave. He tugged at me. I started to run. I couldn't outrun his gun. Shh. Listen. The neighbors are talking. In St. Vincent, we have a minister of everything. So my final poem is called Minister of Everything. And And though there is a minister of this, minister of that, he is the minister of everything. Dengue fever, he becomes the mosquito minister. COVID-19, he becomes the cough minister. La Soufrière exploded, he becomes the volcano minister. Heavy rainfall, he becomes the weather minister. Health minister becomes unhealthy, he becomes the wellness minister. He controls the narrative, clogs the media pipes, shed convenient tears on every single issue except rape. He is not the minister of rape. I thank you.
Oh, Natasha. Natasha, thank you ever so much. It's such an honor and a pleasure to have you here with us, though. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, feel free to engage Natasha after we're through here, because I'm sure she'll be around for a bit. Okay, so I don't think it is a fact. We've come to the end of this evening's proceedings. Did you enjoy it? You did? Okay, fantastic. Well, I know I did. And this is why it's that time of the evening where I must say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you here. But we actually have books for sale? Are they going to be sold tonight? So, this section over there, where is it? Ah, Natasha's book. Ladies and gentlemen, Children of the Ash. It's on sale tonight. Where we can purchase it outside. Yeah? Okay, and there's somebody there to exit. Right. Feel free. As a matter of fact, make sure each and every one of you do not leave here without a book. All right. And of course, Natasha will be available to answer any questions or comments and engage all of us. All right. Thank you ever so much. Is there a bar? There's a paid bar outside? Oh, okay. I just need to remember that. Oh, it's just a bar. Wow, I love this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much. I just want to say thank you to the Grenada Cultural Foundation, and of course in collaboration with the Grenadian. Huh? Wendy don't want to come and say nothing. No, you know Wendy already. Anyway, yes. She disappeared. And she said I have to do it. She's like that. The Grenada Cultural Foundation, in collaboration with the Grenadian Published Authors, Inc. I just want to extend a hearty thank you, much gratitude to all of you, every one of you, all our guest speakers, everybody who participated tonight, Donella, who gave us some poetry, Donalyn, thank you so very much. Of course, Mr. Ambrose, we appreciate you. Daisy, my good friend Daisy, yay. Thank you so very much. Alistair, Amy, Dante, Renata, Camille. Of course, Suja couldn't make it, but he sends his regards. Dr. Crawford, Wendy, I know you disappeared, but thank you in the background. I know behind the scenes you put a lot of effort into making this happen. The camera and technical guys in the back there, thank you ever so much. Auntie Ann, Uncle Yu for La Bucan, we so appreciate this. Thank you ever so much. Auntie Pat, where's she? She in the back, she by the bar. Everybody, I see Wizzo here, my friend. Thank you for coming. Every one of you, I hope you had a lovely evening. I thank you. Do listen out for any and every other thing that is happening here at La Bucan Creative Center. November 5th? Oh my goodness, that's just now. We'll be having storytelling time. It's going to be amazing. Please come, one and all. Tell a friend or two or three or four or five or six. And come, but thank you ever so much. Get home safely. Stick around, mingle, meet people you haven't met in a while, or make a new friend. But thanks ever so much and get home safely. Love you ever so much. Thanks again.